Hi, this is Tom from KolleXor. We're broadcasting from the KolleXor Man Cave. We brought some cool Cubs game used memorabilia to show off, and we're going to introduce ourselves.
This is KolleXor Mike. You might see me from the videos we've done.
Matt from KolleXor, and look forward to it.
So you got to tell us, what initially drew you guys to collecting?
So when I was a kid, my dad took me to Wrigley Field, and I recall saying to my dad when I was a little kid, looking at all the houses around the park, I'm going to live here when I'm old. And I ended up doing that. And the coolest thing to me about Wrigley Field is that it is put right into the middle of a neighborhood. You turn the corner and you're right there. So what got me into collecting was cards as a kid, but also having an opportunity to purchase items from a estate sale of Mark Race's Cubs game used items that his former roommate was selling. And I went there, I bought out the whole basement, and that's what started my collection.
So for me, same thing. First game I went to, my grandpa and dad pulled me into a car one day and wouldn't tell me where we were going. And we did old school. We got on the bus, and we took the bus, and then we walked like 8 blocks to Wrigley. And stepping in there the first time was like, oh my God, like what is this place? What I first started collecting myself was, during Little League, in the Little League we played in, we had a poker chip. At the end of the game, everybody got a poker chip. You got a hot dog, you got a Coke, and you got 50 cents. And most people would buy a Snickers bar. They had those Donruss packs. They were the garbage era, 88, 89, but that was it. I was hooked, trying to find those players.
And for me, I'm more of a Cubs collector as well, but I grew up in Champaign-Urbana, which is where the University of Illinois is. And my neighbor, when I was growing up, she was probably 80 years old, but she was one of the biggest Illini fans out there, Fighting Illini fans. She was also a huge booster and had a lot of tickets, and she would take me to games that I otherwise couldn't go to. And I'd go to, meet players. I got a lot of memorabilia, and that kind of got the passion started. And I still have some of that stuff and have great memories of her and going to games with her, and that really sparked what's become a passion to this point.
Can you guys describe what your roles are in KolleXor?
So I'm Tom, I'm CEO of KolleXor, and we're 3 of the founders. Mike, what's your role?
So I'm working mostly on marketing and getting the word out about KolleXor. Conversing with people in different groups, telling them about why they should be on, and helping spread the word.
Yeah, and a little bit of everything for me. Strategy, trying to keep the website going on a day-to-day basis, trying to understand what the coders tell us about what's wrong. So trying to keep things alive for you folks.
What inspired KolleXor?
So KolleXor is built by fans for fans. We wanted a place where you could post your collection, share your collection with a click instead of texting photos around to various people in your phone, buy, sell, and trade for free, and then also see what other people have. It's a virtual man cave. You don't know what your neighbor owns. This lets you see into their basement and see their collection, and gets an opportunity for you to show yours off too.
Yeah, what's really fun for me is we're creating like mini museums by team, league, sport. As people add, that collection grows. It's an amazing thing to watch, and it's something that we're all doing together as we add our collection. So it's really been, I think, gratifying and fun to see it grow, even though, Tom, I think we started building it more for ourselves than for...
That's true, and I enjoy it every day.
Yeah, for me, it's the one-stop shop aspect. There's so many places out there where you can collect, buy, sell, trade, and we're not trying to be transactional by nature. We're trying to be more curative of the game. And so each person is building their own museum, and collectively we've got this massive museum forming, and people are telling stories of how they've collected items and where they got them and what they mean to them. And to me, that's what it's all about. Tom, why don't you tell us some of the stuff that we're looking at today?
So some of the awesome pieces you can see exclusively on KolleXor.com we're going to be showing off here. First off, very cool piece, museum very few pieces you say, you know what, this belongs in a museum. And Indiana Jones style, this belongs in a museum. This is the helmet that Sammy Sosa wore when he hit the famous home run in the first game back after 9/11, grabbed the American flag from Billy Williams, who was coaching first base. As he rounded first base, ran around the bases, afterwards had his personal hologram applied from his company ASI back in the day, autographed, inscribed it about how it's the helmet he wore. And this has been photo matched by end-to-end photo matching. Incredible helmet. Cool piece of Americana history, Cubs history.
How do you get something like that?
So this was auctioned a long time ago. I acquired it in a trade. You gotta give good to get good.
What'd you get?
I gave some very expensive, more modern Cubs game use pieces, and acquired that. Some of the 2016 stuff that collectors crave. I have an abundance of, but needed to have the Sosa.
And I think, Tom, this was, he waved the little flag, right, going
He
around
did.
the bases.
Yeah.
Round the
Yeah.
bases with it. Hold on. Who's got that flag?
Yeah, Chip Carey had a great call on that. He grabbed the flag from Billy Williams as he's rounding first base, who was coaching first for the Cubs then. And just an iconic moment. Sammy started doing some private signings, and I've seen some 16 by 20s of him rounding the bases, carrying the flag, and wearing that helmet from those signings. Let's stick with the Sosa theme. We've got a 2003 game used jersey that Sosa signed and inscribed, career home run number 525. You get his hologram on there from ASI, who was handling his memorabilia back in the day. One thing that you look for Sosa gamers, you look for his custom stitched sleeve where he could show off the guns. Yeah, you got the C patch, which the Cubs were doing back in the early 2000s. You look for the neck tag. So this is his set 3 jersey from 2003. One piece of trivia from then, Cubs would sometimes wear the blues at home back then. Now it's exclusively for the road. And for game use junkies, you also want to look at interior tag 0062, which is the professional code, which is what you want to see on gamers. So this is an excellent 2003 Sammy Sosa game used jersey sample hit for a home run. And Sosa would pull these jerseys and sign and inscribe them in this fashion, usually in the same spot. Similar handwriting. They command a premium on the market when he's authenticated them to home runs.
And was this photo match time or just authenticated?
This one is not photo match. There's one photo online that Getty has from that game, but not a matchable photo. So, continuing on with the Sosa theme, here you have a game used bat of his from the 2001 to 2004 era. So this one shows incredible use. You have ink transfers all over the barrel. You've got cleat impressions. This thing has it all.
Amazing.
Authenticated by John Tawby of PSA, best in the business. You get the so-called Apple knob tape, which is something that Sosa was doing near the tail end of his career, sort of as a counterbalance for the weight of the bat in the barrel end. So these are the kind of bats when you have someone over and you're showing off your display. This is the kind of bat that sticks out. The tape job on the knob, the tar, the incredible use covering the barrel. This is one of the bats you show off when you have friends over or when you're posting your collection on KolleXor. Another jersey, which you can see on KolleXor.com. You have a final Cubs season 1974 game used Billy Williams jersey. Back then they did not put the name on the back. This jersey originates from the collection of Dan Knoll, who was a Cubs game used collector, very well known in the hobby. a mentor of mine and just an all-around great man. You have the neck tag denoting this as his set 2 jersey. Typically in this era they would have 2 homes and two set 1, set 2 for road, set 1, set 2 for home. Size 40, which is appropriate, 1974 for the season, 26 for the jersey number. Billy signed this in the front. Very, very, very cool sample. Billy Williams, all original jersey from his final season with the Cubs.
And Tom, in 74, how many jerseys would a guy wear in the course of a season?
Typically they'd have 4 jerseys. So you'd get set 1 and set 2 for home and road, which makes jerseys from that era very difficult to find. They would also get sent down to the minors. So a lot of jerseys from that era you will see that has the original neck tag. However, the numbering on the back is removed with a different number, and there's some extreme wash wear from the minors that washes out the blue on the numbering.
And so how many jerseys does a player get today in baseball?
Today, it's a lot. It's a lot more than 4. They would have, you get usually 2 different roads, styles, a home, various specialties. A player could go through 20 jerseys in a season nowadays. So Yosh Kawano, from the Cubs clubhouse, manager back in the day, would lay out those jerseys. And there were not many to pick from, and not many exist, which is why they carry an extreme premium. And to accompany the jersey, we've got a Billy Williams game used bat from 1973 to 1974. This is a perfect sample Billy Williams game used bat. His upper handle tar application perfectly placed below the H&B label, exactly as you would see on a Billy Williams bat. You've got ball impressions, seam impressions. This bat has it all. He also has this bat's got a handle crack, which usually denotes that it's a game bat. But what really sets this bat apart is on the knob, you have Billy Williams customization. So what he would do on his preferred game bats is he would take the bat knob and rub it into the bat rack to leave a paint rim around the knob, which you can see here. And that would denote that this was his preferred gamer. So it's in the bat rack. You could see that circle.
How did you find that out?
Well, I found that out from Dan Knoll, who is a incredible Cubs collector. Unfortunately, Dan has passed on. He was a mentor of mine. An incredible knowledge of Cubs game used that he had. And I asked at a private signing once Billy Williams about it, and he did confirm that was something he would do on his preferred game bats. So this is as nice as a Billy Williams game used bat comes in the hobby. Billy's teammate, fellow Hall of Famer Ernie Banks. We have a very rare early career game used Ernie Banks bat, again authenticated by PSA. It's a 1955 game used bat that Ernie Banks signed and inscribed Gamer 1955. Just extremely rare to find early career game used Ernie Banks bats. Just an incredible bat from Cubs Hall of Famer. You have the S2 on the knob for the bottom for the model number. Just an incredible bat to think about, where this bat has been in the mid 1950s with Mr. Cubs swinging it.
And how many bats would they use in the course of a season at that time?
So in that time, interestingly, you can see there's some photos that exist of the players lining out all of the team bats in front of the dugout, and they would carry a few at a time. In this era, they had done away with applying nails to continue using the bats, so H&B would supply them with more bats. But far less than they use nowadays, for sure. And finally, from this era, we have Ron Santo's 1966 All-Star Game bat. One thing that I really enjoy with these vintage era bats is where you have the player signature on here. This one has a perfect sample Ron Santo autograph. He inscribed it with the date of the All-Star Game. One cool feature of bats back all the way through really the 1980s is the bat manufacturers would stamp what All-Star Game the bat was from. So here you have a 1966 St. Louis All-Star Game bat stamping on the barrel. This bat features appropriate use for an All-Star Game with some ball marks, a seam impression there I see. Also has bat rack marks on the handle.
A little chip out of the handle, maybe.
Little chip out of the handle there. Santo's 10 written on the knob. PSA authentication on here as well by John Tawby of JT Sports. So just an incredible bat from Ron Santo from the All-Star Game. And typically the All-Star Game stamp bats will carry a premium as well over standard issue bats.
Did you get this one signed, Tom, or did it come signed?
I did not. That one came signed.
Okay.
From Heritage Auctions many years ago. So here we have a very, very cool piece of Cubs history. You have Ryan Sandberg's All-Star jersey from 1990. In 1990, the game was, of course, hosted at Wrigley Field. This jersey's been photo matched at the All-Star Game and the Home Run Derby, which Ryan Sandberg won. And the Home Run Derby was not like it is today, with only a few home runs hit that year. But Sandberg was the champion, and he signed this jersey in the front, 1990 All-Star Game. The jersey is also photo matched to the regular season as well. And in 1990, the Cubs had a sleeve patch showing that they hosted the All-Star Game. So the original patch is on there. This is an incredible, incredible game-used jersey from Ryan Sandberg in a special piece of Cubs history.
And didn't you say, Tom, that he wore this not just in the All-Star Game?
Correct. So this also matches to photos from the regular season. Interestingly, some of the photos it matches to are press photos I acquired from eBay. So if you have your older jerseys, one way to photo match them is to go on eBay, search for press photos from that era, and see if you can photo match jerseys off of press photos. So, of course, the Cubs trying to get the All-Star Game back to Wrigley Field. We'll see if that happens. But this Ryan Sandberg 1990 All-Star Game jersey also features the appropriate neck tagging. This is set 1, customization of an extra inch of length, size 44 with a T, which stands for tapered. So, again, a customization that Sandberg would do for his game-used jerseys of that era. So, a more modern era Cubs MVP, Chris Bryant. Here is a 2019 Cubs era Chris Bryant game-used bat. This bat is photo matched and graded by PSA as a perfect 10. As you can see, you have Chris's handle tar application, which is custom for his bats. He would grip the bat. You can see, you know, he would be going like this. So you get that. So you get a lot of the upper handle tar on his bats. This bat saw a lot of game use. You have a ton of ink transfers, seam impressions all over the barrel. This is a two-tone Chandler, which he started using after the 2016 season. I do like the two-tone because the natural finish shows off a lot of the handle tar for display purposes. The Chandler logo, of course, pops and is a very popular model for game-use collectors. So this is the modern Cubs MVP. We saw Ernie Banks for historical Cubs MVP. Some just incredible Cubs game-used pieces. These are available exclusively to view on KolleXor.com. I'm
How
Tom.
many bats would you say you have in your collection?
I have around 300. and spanning, all the way back to early 1900s Cubs, all the way to present. Some of the 2023 bats I picked up are Bellinger, Swanson, and Happ bats from the London series, which I attended. But runs the gambit. My prized possessions, for the modern era, are my 2016 dated bats. So I have nearly the entire collection of bats dated with 2016 date and were used by the Cubs. Every player that had an at bat in the 2016 season, except for 3. So.
Who are you
Who
missing?
are you? Yeah.
I'm missing Ryan Kalish. If anyone knows Ryan Kalish out there, and he has a 2016 dated bat. Missing Tommy LaStella, who had a lot of at bats in 2016,
Yeah.
but for some reason his bats are just really difficult to find from the Cubs era.
I gotta pick one up and sell it at a premium.
Oh yeah,
Think about this.
paying premiums on anything that I'm missing. So.
What's the third?
The third is Kawasaki. The third I'm missing is Kawasaki, who very, very difficult to find his game used.
How many at bats did he have?
Not that many. I'm gonna guess plate appearances in 2016. I'm gonna guess he had 200.
Oh, okay.
So
More
his
than I
bat
would've
should be
thought.
out there. I have a Blue Jays era bat of his, but trying to finish out the 2016 set with 2016 dated bats. So if anyone has any of those 3 out there, hit me up.
And Tom, I know you're posting all this on KolleXor. How long does it take you to post an item?
It takes about a minute to post an item on KolleXor. You get to share it with other collectors. Other collectors get to see what your interests are, reach out to you. I had someone reach out to me about a piece that I purchased after they saw similar items that I had posted on KolleXor. So the KolleXor community is an excellent way to get into, sharing your collection, seeing other people's collections, buying, selling, and trading, totally free to use.
Matt, Tom, really exciting news we announced in the last couple of weeks. We've got one of the premier collectors of all time, I would say, an ex-athlete who made it big in the space by securing this massive collection, and he's joined us as a strategic investor. Tell us about that.
Dimitri Young just signed on as an investor with KolleXor. Welcome him with open arms. We're really excited. He is known as a card collector from many years ago. An incredible collection, a great guy, veteran athlete, lots of respect for him and what he's done for the card collecting community, what he's done as a pro athlete. An exciting part of him joining KolleXor is that he's going to be posting his collection on the site. One item, massive card, Willie Mays, rookie, formerly PSA 9, now an IAS 9. Who knows what the value of that card is. Highest graded rookie card, Pop 2, just an amazing card, exclusively available for sale on KolleXor.com.
So Dimitri did post that for sale on our sites. That's amazing, and people have the opportunity to come there. They can look at that card. They can reach out if they're interested in that card, and we're hoping that he's got a good opportunity to sell that card on our site.
And it's pretty, even as much as I love his card, it's almost just as amazing that he's posting his personal collection on there, because he's got his own, game used items from his playing career, and he's been periodically posting those as well. So it's fun, to think of being a collector, posting, sharing your personal collection alongside a player. And I think, there may be a couple others that'll be posting as well.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm a game use collector. Nothing hits like game use. You hold that bat that they used in the game, there is nothing like it. So I'm excited to see all of his game used items posted on the site. Excited to see what other collectors have in their collections. Excited to see people digitize their collection in a virtual man cave on KolleXor. And here we go.
Yeah, and we're looking to make some future announcements too on some other athletes joining the brand. So we're excited about that.
Yep, we have other athletes lined up that are coming on as investors. We'll be announcing those signings soon.
Tom, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's just starting their collection?
What I would say to a new collector is that every collection's special. It doesn't matter what price points you have. There is nothing like going to a convention, sifting through tables of cards, nothing like going through an auction catalog, finding game use pieces that are special to you, either because they're teams or players you collect. There is no barrier to entering this hobby. No matter what price point you're buying at, there are items. I think it would be very surprising to new collectors just how affordable a lot of game use pieces are. Nothing hits like game used. You get that bat that someone used in a game that you followed, you hold it in your hands, you show it off in your basement, you post it on KolleXor.com. There is nothing like that as a fan.
So let's talk about this. Somebody goes to a show, they find an item they're after, they get this bat that they really wanted. How do they get it up on KolleXor?
Go to KolleXor.com. In a few clicks, that item is up and automatically posted in your collection. You take a couple photos, post it, say what team and player it is. Immediately it's up. Under a minute, you got the item posted in your personal collection. You can share it with one click. You can view your collection. You can look at other people's collections. And extremely easy. Your collection is literally in your pocket.
And can you find things to add to your collection?
If you're gonna, you're out searching to buy or trade, you can easily search KolleXor.com by player, by team, by item, see what other collectors have. If there's something that you would like in your collection, send them a message, see if it's available.
How do you see the collecting space shaping up in the next 5 to 10 years?
So I think, as anyone knows, with smartphones, they're sort of taking over the day-to-day, life of collectors. I mean, you go to shows, and if you're looking at buying something, you go on your phone to see what recent comps have been. If you want to reach out to other collectors, you contact them through KolleXor.com. I think the need that KolleXor.com fills is that you can get your collection online. Right now, there's nowhere else where you can post your collection so that it's available to you with one click. You go on there, you're looking to trade with someone, they ask, what do you have? Before you start just rambling through random things you have in your collection, here you text them a link to your collection, they can go through, see what you have, see if there's anything that they're interested in.
When we thought about this site, one of the things we thought was, why does this not exist? And we definitely think that that's going to be the case in 3 years, 5 years, right?
Well, I can tell you as someone who has sold and traded a lot of memorabilia over the years, that texting around photos to potential buyers is very cumbersome. You have to find the photos on your phone. You then text a bunch of photos to someone. It takes up the space on their phone. You then have to text all the other potential people photos. So the ability to simply have your collection on one place, online, one click, and you can send a link to a specific item or to your entire collection, makes it much, much, much easier to buy, sell, and trade.
I'd also, Tom, the thing I've enjoyed is I can track what I paid for something and what its current value is, and it's kind of fun to watch, the value of your collection change over time as well.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of utility to that. So you can track what your collection's worth. You can track it for insurance purposes. If you have to have an insurance claim, you have every item populated in your collection available on your personal collection page with photos and details that you entered. You can track if you're going to buy and sell things. What is your acquisition cost? What's your cost basis for an item? So if you're going to sell it, you know exactly what you paid for it. If you sell it for an increased cost, you have your taxable cost. So by comparing what you paid for it versus what you sold it for. So there's a lot of benefits beyond the core function of buying, selling, trading, and also being able to share your collection with one click.
Now, we see a lot of Cubs stuff here, but KolleXor goes much further. Matt, can you tell us about just how far the reach goes in terms of sports and countries.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing that's, I think, for all of us has been incredibly gratifying in the sense that, we started it with really what we collect, and then very quickly we started getting items from European hockey leagues, from, Australian football collectors, and we've worked very hard because to us it's a community and we want to be welcoming to all those collectors around the world. So we've worked hard to customize the site and make it as open as possible for every sport and every item type out there. I think you guys would echo, how fun that's been to watch those items come in.
Yeah, Mike, can you talk a little bit about our YouTube page and what you've been posting on there?
Yeah, I mean, we're expecting to post a lot more, just talk about the hobby in general, talk about all our passions. One of the things that we say about KolleXor, one of our taglines is share your passion, and that's what we want people to do. And so we'll be talking about, cards, bats, helmets, how we collect in the space, what we're hearing about in the hobby, and just sharing stuff with you. We've also got a number of users that have told us they'd like to sit down with us and tell us about their collections, and we're getting really excited to start doing that with our top collectors. Is similar how Tom talked to you about his, go through their collection and what drives them. And then what we're really pleased about is once we get to sit down with Dimitri and really go through his collection and his passion.
About Tom, a lot of huge items from your collection, and maybe we'll start with Mike on this one. There's got to be a couple items, Mike, that have at some point missed that you haven't been able to get.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about the one that got away, one that I had in my possession that I sold and I should have held on to, but I was foolish. Back in college, I was collecting, while going to school and I didn't work, but what I did do was I did some arbitrage on eBay. I would go in and I would purposely type in the misspellings of Mantle or Baby Ruth instead of Babe Ruth. And this was early in eBay's days, and I would just get this big collection and turn around and flip them. And one day, they must have just changed their spell check or something because they just shut up overnight. But one of the cards I did get my hands on, and I had, was the 1933 Goody Babe Ruth. Mm-hmm. And I had that card for 2 years. And
what was your basis?
What?
What was the cost?
I got that for $450. And I looked it up. I should not have looked it up, but I looked it up the other day, and it's like, goodness, like what did I do? But I had that card. I held on to it for a few months, and I had it in my possession, and it was fun. But it was Wild West back then, and I'm happy I got to partake in that. But that was the one that got away.
You probably spent that money wisely at the time.
Probably. I was in college.
Yeah.
Yeah, these stories are worse than the girl that got away stories for sure. So one thing with me is I was collecting ticket stubs back, 2014, 2015. I thought they were really cool. Sandberg game, Jordan at Wrigley Field game, a lot of rare stubs. And in 2019, as teams are going to the electronic tickets, it came to me that as people start using electronic tickets, no one's really going to want to collect these hard tickets anymore. I could not have been more wrong because these stubs 10x plus in COVID, and I had sold all of them. So that was a lesson learned.
Tom, that's for me, it's the ticket stubs. Because I think back on, the Bulls games I went to, in the Jordan era, and all of those ticket stubs that I had at one time, I think, have been thrown away by my mother, probably cleaning the house. But yeah.
Yeah, sometimes they come back to you. Anthony Rizzo's 1942 throwback jersey. I am a World War II buff. I wanted it really bad. The Cubs Authentics group at the time had it, and I delayed a bit, and I did not have the money for it. They wanted a lot of money back then for it. It sold, and then 3 years later, randomly, the owner reached out to me. He had been a big Anthony Rizzo collector. I bought his entire collection, and it included the 1942 throwback. So it is currently in my collection. Sometimes the ones that miss do come back to you.
That's
so
great.
Happy endings.
Yeah. So
all right. So digitizing your collection, that's the future. We understand that, right? That's why we built the site. Tell me other reasons why people have to get on KolleXor.
Because everyone has their collections. It's all spread out in basements, in closets, in garages, No one knows what your neighbor has. What KolleXor does is brings the collecting community together. I want to know what that person has. I want to know what my neighbor has. It allows you to peek into your neighbor's man cave and see their collection. It also allows you to buy, sell, and trade for free. You can post your items. You control the sale. You control the sale amount. Whether it sells in one day or a month or a year, you control that sale.
You know, one of the problems I've had collecting recently is I try to put together rainbows, right? And I can't find those last two cards, you know, and I'm hoping that what we're creating here is going to help people make those connections so they can fill out their sets.
It's incredible, Mike, when you search a player name on KolleXor and you see, 5 items, sometimes even of, 10 items, sometimes 50 items, and even of extremely obscure players. It's amazing to me, actually.
Yeah, I mean, every time I go on KolleXor, I see things I didn't know existed. I mean, we have some amazing vintage scorecards that are signed by players of the era. We have incredible game-used bats, incredible game-used jerseys, rare, low number, low pop sports cards. I mean, it is just anything and everything that the sports collector would want to see, you find on KolleXor.
And if you have something out there listening, I mean, you got to get on there. In 30 seconds, you can sign up. It's free. Post your first item, and right away, you're posting next to some of the top collectors in the community. Even, again, major league players are posting their own items on KolleXor. So super fun. Best collecting community out there.
Well, thanks everybody for sticking up with us this long. Keep watching. We're going to be putting out more content like this. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, everyone.